Hi there, I'm Linda and this is Huttons Valley Permaculture. Currently I grow 2 species of aloe. In this video we're going to have a look at the differences between them, what I'm using them for, and why this particular plant has to be removed from my rock wall garden. I'll also be harvesting some of the leaves, extracting the gel and giving soap making a try for the first time. This is my first ever aloe plant. Now, a friend of mine gave it to me 8-9 years ago and I brought it down from suburbia down to where I am now, and it's always just been in this pot. And I have over time kind of separated off these little pups that sort of grow around it. And if I grab this out, you can see that there's more little pups sort of starting to grow out the bottom, and over time I've just kind of picked those off and planted them into my garden. Now this particular plant doesn't get a lot of love. I do forget to water it a lot, so it does look a bit dried out, but it comes back to life fairly quickly when the water hits it again. So what I did with some of those little pups is just put them into this rock wall garden, and as you can see they really love life here. Now these particular plants have a single beautiful orange flower, and it wasn't until recently that I discovered that these weren't aloe vera, they were actually a different variety or a different species of aloe altogether. Now I began to look into it a little bit more when a friend of mine said that no, this isn't the aloe vera that you can eat. And she gave me one of her plants, which is this one here, which is an aloe vera. It's Aloe Vera chinensis. There's also a different variety called Aloe Vera barbadensis, which is a much larger growing plant, which is also an edible variety. Now, over the years, if I've had a bite or an irritation on the skin, I have just chopped off one of these leaves and I use the gel on the skin, and it really soothes that irritation really quickly. When I decide to finally do some homework on the plant that I'm growing here, I found that it's called Aloe saponaria. Another name for it is Aloe maculata. I know that you can't eat the gel, but you can use the gel for sort of cleansing applications. You can get the gel out and liquefy it, and you can just use it as a cleanser straight on the hands. And I think you can also use it straight in the hair as well. This little one here is a Chinese variety of aloe, and this is a true aloe vera. Now, there's lots of videos online that goes through the differences between the different aloe veras. Now, this one has white spots on it when it's young, and as it gets larger, then it starts to lose the spots. So this is the only plants I've got of this, and I'd like to plant it out into my rock wall garden and replace these guys, because this will have more uses down the track. You can still use it for skin irritations or for cleansing, but you can also eat it as well, which you can't with this one. Now, let's have a look why I need to move this one on. There's about 400 or 500 different species of aloe, and they have different growing requirements. Most of them seem to like areas where they don't get too wet, like they've got good drainage, and that's certainly what they've got in this rock wall garden. But this plant loves it almost too much. I've just put a number of plants along the rock wall garden, and you can see here this particular variety just spreads everywhere. And what I'm finding is that it just sort of is starting to creep right down my rock wall, and I'm a bit concerned that it's going to impact the integrity of my wall if all these plants start to kind of push out and expand. You can see they're all kind of spreading through here. Here's another little one that's just in here. They spread. Oh gosh, you can sort of see what's happening under here. Let's have a dig through. Sorry, I haven't looked at this. Oh, look at that. That is just going right up into that rock wall. So This is not something that I like here. So that's what's happening all along. You can see there's more little plants here, and they're spreading around. And even here underneath this grevillea, there's just loads of plants, and they're just all moving right through under here and right along this garden. Now, what I was thinking of doing was to replace this Aloe maculata or saponiaria with some of my chinensis, which has more uses. But having just done a quick Google search, it seems that this plant also spreads with those little sort of invasive suckers going through the ground. So what I might do instead is just have a number of pots along this garden, which seems like a great place to be growing aloe. It's kind of a bit like mint. If you can keep it in a pot, and you can save it from going right through your garden. I didn't realise at the time that that's what I was doing with these aloe plants, but that's what's happening, and it's definitely not great for this lovely rock wall. And I'm not going to risk it with this one either, but I am going to start to grow more of this variety, but I'm going to keep it in pots. Now, knowing that these plants really have to go from this wall, I thought today I might just get some of the gel extracted from some of these leaves. So I'm going to take this plant here, if I can, get in here somehow, and get it out. Now, get this plant out of here. Wow. It's kind of scary when you look at what's underneath. All these little pups are just everywhere. So that's what I'm worried about, is that all of that's just going to keep pushing these rocks out. Sometimes you don't really realise what you're planting until, you know, a little while down the track. And they're all different plants. And that's all the root's going to start more plants. Ooh, terrifying. And this is just the underneath. These are all more little plants starting to grow. I think these plants love life too much in this environment. Anyway, we're not going to deal with all the plants today. What I do want to do is kind of make the most of this problem and turn it into a solution in other areas by extracting this gel and putting it to some good use. So what I need to do is just get all of these leaves off. Now, not like that. I'll just try and slice them off. I've got plenty, so it doesn't matter if we kind of waste some. In addition to the gel, the leaves contain aloe latex, which is considered toxic and unsafe for consumption, and it's also a skin irritant. Now, it's a bit hard to see, but there is a little yellowish edge up the top there, and that's the irritant. In the middle is the gel. So to get that out, you just need to dump the leaves into water, and I'm just going to leave them in there for about an hour. But I'll get all these leaves off. Now, I know with some varieties you can just sort of pull the leaves off. Oh, that came off okay. I just couldn't get started. You can really see the yellow there now. The yellow there is the aloe latex, or the aloin, A-L-O-I-N, and you don't really want that on your skin. Now, I reckon that's more than enough. We'll just leave that in there for a while and drain out that yellow fluid. Now, as for the rest of this plant, I'm just going to throw it up in my compost area, and I'll be making another hot compost soon, so I'll put it through that. And while we're looking at this garden, I'm just going to get out these so I don't have to think about it again, just for this section. I'll definitely have to deal with it everywhere else. Well, see, it even goes up the rock wall garden. You can see hiding under all the grass that I've got to clear. Little plants that are climbing up the garden wall as well. Well, pull that one out. I don't know how to really get that out of the wall properly, other than dismantling the wall, but I'll just have to, over time, just keep pulling off any of those plants as they appear. And even all under here, these plants are appearing. And then you've got to check in under these other plants. And look, there they all are. Oh, these ones look like they're just getting started. Oh, look at that sucker going. And each new plant that comes along starts to create even more plants. Oh, it's just full. I'm amazed I haven't kind of investigated this before, but this is horrific. Tell you what, beware your aloe plants. Oh, it's quite a workout. This is all just coming from this one plant that was here, and it's just going everywhere. Now, I've always quite liked these plants, but it does concern me a lot about what it's doing. These beautiful flowers that come in spring may not be worth it for ruining the integrity of my lovely rock wall. So I'm just going to pull this one out as well. Oh, I'll cut this one out. Now these plants have been in here for, I don't know, 5 years or something. And it's like they've just suddenly got their superpowers going. Or maybe conditions have just turned right for them, I don't know, but they have suddenly just taken off. And they're hard to pull out because they just sort of break very easily. So that little area is cleared. I might just plant some more kangaroo paw or something like that, which I know is not going to be causing havoc in this garden. The kangaroo paw do spread a little bit, and we've got some more happening over there, but not to the same extent as these plants. Well, that's quite a bit of material that's going to go up into my compost, and it'll compost down beautifully, I'm sure. And all these other areas are being put on notice that they're soon to be evicted, but not right now because we've got some gel extracting to do. Now these leaves have been in this water for sort of 10 minutes or so, and you can see that there is a bit of yellowness to it. What we'll do now is extract the gel, but I'll give it a bit more soaking just to make sure all of that yellow substance is gone. So I'll just cut off the spiky bits first. And get these outer leaves off. And then I'll just extract the gel from that. And I'm just going to put that into a bowl of water just to make sure that all of that yellow substance has gone. And we'll repeat with all the rest. Need a wider spoon. Now I watched quite a few videos on this, and the people mostly liked using the spoon method of getting the outer leaf off, because the knife kind of keeps cutting in and you just kind of don't extract the green part as easily. Mind you, I'm still missing it sort of down the edges. I've got lots of leaves, so I'm not too worried about sort of maximising the gel from each leaf, because I know I'll have plenty. Now, I've got a little bit of gel there. This plant, the Aloe maculata, is also called soap aloe because people just use the fresh gel, as I'm doing there, just to soap up your hands and use that as a cleanser. Yep, and my hands feel lovely. And they are nice and clean. I've extracted some gel from the leaves. Now what I'm going to do now is just process that. And I might strain it too because I've got some of the green bits in here. And I don't want that in my gel. But you can see that water's fairly clear, so I'm pretty confident I've got all of that yellow aloe out of the gel. Now I'll just whisk that up. Got all that whizzed up there now, but you can see there's lots of little greeny bits there, so I'm just going to strain that to get them out. Look at that glooping out there. That's better. All those bits and pieces are out of there now. Now that gel is good to use right now. The variety of aloe I got it from is Aloe saponaria, and that's also known as soap aloe. So people use this as is to wash hands, wash, the body, and also wash the hair. The only problem with it is it's not very stable. There's no preservatives in it, and at room temperature it would only last for like a day or two, depends on the temperature. In the fridge it'll last for a bit longer in a dark container, maybe up to a week. But if you freeze it, it can last between 6 and 12 months. So right now, all I'm going to do with this gel is put it straight into ice cube trays. and get it into the freezer so that at least it's stable, and then I'll be using it for soap making. We'll get that into the freezer. The next day, when the aloe had frozen, I started the soap making process by slowly adding my sodium hydroxide to the frozen aloe gel. And you sit this little jug on a freezer pack to keep everything cold the whole time. And you just sort of keep stirring it until the frozen gel thaws and it becomes a solution. Now that's the lye solution, and you've got to be really careful of that because it's quite caustic. Once the aloe had thawed and the lye solution was complete, I strained it to get out any sort of gel parts that were likely to go brown in the final soap. Next, I measured out the oils into a large plastic jug. I did warm the oils a little bit before adding the lye solution to it and using a stick blender just to blend it. Poured it into the tray, slightly overfilling it, which was a shame. And then I've let it sit for 10 minutes before wrapping it in a blanket and putting it into a cooler to sit for 24 hours before we come back later to cut it. After cutting the soap, I put it in a container to cure for about 4 weeks to dry it out before using. I'll leave a link to a YouTube channel that has the recipe, method and safety instructions for making this soap in the description. Now, I mentioned a few times in the video that aloe gel can be used to cleanse the hair, so I thought I'd give it a try. Now, my hair is thick and unruly, and in rainy weather it goes to frizz, and especially if I brush it. So I need to be careful what products I use. So I put some aloe gel in my hair and I rinsed it out in the shower. And I think it did a pretty good job, although I think some conditioner may still be needed. Well, I started this video thinking it would be about the differences between my two plants, the aloe vera and the aloe maculata, but turns out it's mostly a video about the good and bad of this guy here. The bad is it will take over the garden. The good, well, it soothes the skin and you can use that straight out of the leaf. You can wash your hands in it, but the soap that I've made today will make that more convenient. With the hair, you can thaw the gel from the freezer, or if you infrequently wash your hair like myself, you can prepare the gel fresh each time. Well, the bad of growing this plant is really because I didn't understand how it multiplies. It's definitely worth growing, but perhaps in a controlled, safe environment such as a pot, which is where I'll be growing it in future. Now, I'm really looking forward to using the soap that I've made from it and would love to hear if you use aloe gel and how you like to use it. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and also subscribing. I'm nearly at 10,000 subscribers, so if you haven't already, please help me get there. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.